Thank you for joining us for our first Nurse Practice Committee meeting in 2026. Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Neelu Patel, and I am the chair of the Nurse Practice Committee, and I will go and take a roll call vote. We have Jovita Dominguez.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everybody. Jovita Dominguez was appointed by Governor Newsom in the education licensing and good morning.
Perfect. And we have Vicki Granowitz.
Vicki Granowitz, President. Also, Happy New Year, even though it's February.
Yes.
Appointed in the public member role by the President of the Senate.
Thank you. And that establishes our quorum. I would also like to introduce our BRN staff. We have our EO, Executive Officer, Laura Melby.
Thank you. I am Loretta, or Lori Melby. I'm the
Thank you. And then our DCA attorney and our BRN attorney, Mr. Pejuhesh.
Good morning, everyone. Reza Pejuhesh, DCA Legal Counsel.
Fantastic. And we'll segue right into our general instructions for format of teleconference meeting. And our BRN moderator, take it away, please.
Good, thank you. Good morning. This is the BRN moderator. I will be moderating the meeting. To facilitate public comment, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer feature, now known as Slido. When the committee reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, the question and answer feature will be turned on and members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by inserting the phrase, "I would like to make a comment," in the question box, which is typically in the lower right of your screen. We will also query our in-person location here in BRN HQ. I will then call on the individual and unmute their microphone. The individual will have 2 minutes to make their comments. I will not give a warning as your time approaches. I will mute your microphone and will announce that your time has exceeded the time allotted. I will then proceed to the next member of the public who has a comment. Please note that the question and answer feature is being used only as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. When your turn comes, you will be prompted to unmute. If your question can be answered, the committee will respond accordingly. When making your comment, speak about anything you believe is important for the members to know. Remember, committee members cannot address any items not on the agenda. Items not on the agenda at that moment, items that you would like to add to a future meeting, or items that will be discussed later on the agenda will be discussed at the correct times during the meeting. I will provide a brief reminder of this approach at the start of each public comment item. Finally, when committee members or BRN staff are not speaking, I would like to remind them to mute their microphone. If I detect background noise during the meeting as a result of unmuted microphones, I will mute your microphone automatically.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, now moving on to agenda item 3.0, that's public comment for items that are not on the agenda. BRN moderator, can you open it up for public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. I have been informed that we have no in-person representation in BRN HQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 4.0, review and vote on whether to approve previous meeting minutes. May I have a first and a second?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Okay.
I can
And
second,
just a second.
Jovita. Mhm.
Thank you. For October 30th, 2025. I should have finished that. Thank you. Okay, so we have a first and a second, and any discussion, board members? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll open it up to public comment, please. BRN moderator.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I would like to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in Buren HQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now on to agenda item 5.0, information and discussion only of the advisory committee updates that will be provided by our executive officer, Lori Melby. Thank you, Lori. Please take it away.
This is going to be the easiest agenda item of the entire day. We have 0 updates. We had our board meeting in November, and we have not held a committee meeting since the board meeting. Actually, am I wrong on that? I got a couple nods. Yes, that's correct. Still sorry. No. Where's my brain? I'm so sorry. We did have a NEWAC meeting. I completely apologize for that. We did have a NEWAC meeting in I believe in 2026, January 21st, 2026. We have had one. That agenda did cover just some kind of housekeeping items. So we did just a basic update from me on some of the stuff that we were working on with our nursing education and our approval process. One of the items is in our prior sunset, we were required to do joint accreditation and approval visits. And so ASIN, CCNE, NLN, CNEA. And so those are nursing program specific accreditations. And if a school has those, they, instead of doing an every 5-year continuing approval visit, we do an every 8-year or an every 10-year. We follow the schedule of the accreditors. When we're doing that, it was also put in the law that we would accept the report from that accrediting agency in lieu of our own report to kind of help the program directors streamline that process. Unless there was items on the our approval that's not covered in the accreditation. There are a few of those items. And so what we did is we were requiring the schools to do a crosswalk. What was happening is the crosswalks were coming in different from each school. So even though they had the same accreditor and we are the same approver, say if they had ASIN, we would get, 12 schools, and 12 schools would have a different crosswalk to the report. There was not any continuity with that. And the same thing with our CCNE schools and we only have one NLN CNEA school. So with that, it was determined that we would work to provide a single crosswalk for each one that we believed matched what they looked at in the accreditation to what we looked at in our approval process, and then give some feedback on what forms were still needed to be completed in order to meet our rules and regulations that fell outside of the general accrediting agencies. So we presented a draft on that to get some input, and it is now with our NECs. And so that is being reviewed. It is back with our chief of licensing. They had a meeting with her on Friday, and that will continue to go through the process. We received some great feedback from our NECs as well, and so I'm looking forward to getting that out. We'll have that shared out on our web, and that will be something for all of them to grab. The other one that we looked at is really trying to get an action plan together for the implementation of Senate Bill 1015. That was put in, and that was where they asked the NEWAC committee to do a study on and write a report on recommending standards for coordinating clinical placements. And then for us as the board to submit a report to the legislator. Garrett Chan, which is the CEO of Health Impact, he was our chair of our NEWAC committee. He just recently stepped down from that and will be terming off of the NEWAC committee. But he, as part of his role in Health Impact, they also study clinical placements. And so he offered up his support on working as a subject matter expert in that, and will help with that process. We can't obviously lift and shift. We can't take that report and make it ours, but it can be part of the data that is collected, and we can consider that and move that forward. So that was shared as well. We did have report outs from the general subcommittees. There was some movement in that, but again, it's a lot, and that was kind of the general theme that we heard from the committee, is a lot of these asks from NEWAC members as they're all working and active in their roles independent from this. It's difficult for them to do a lot of the extra lift that the NEWAC committee requires of them. And so really just trying to brainstorm on how we can get some movement on a lot of these projects that is going through NEWAC and assist them with that. So that was NEWAC. I apologize. That was completely off my radar for a moment this morning. But that is to date the one committee that has met. I apologize for that. We have over 80 meetings annually, and to find out which ones meet and don't meet and stuff, my brain just kind of glitched at that point. So any questions on the NEWAC update? Vicki, you're on mute.
I don't think we actually ever voted on the minutes. We moved in second, but I don't think we voted.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I ran too fast.
It's early and we all need coffee, Nilu.
Oh,
Thank you for
oh
keeping us
boy.
in check, Vicki. That's fantastic. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. We'll close this out and then we'll take a vote on those minutes. My apologies. I just ran right through that, didn't I? Okay. So any questions regarding the advisory committee updates? It feels like January was a really long time ago, Lori, so I totally understand why it feels like, it might have been last year. But thank you for that report out, and I appreciate that. And we will go back to agenda item that was, I believe, 3.0 regarding the meeting minutes. Excuse me, please clarify. It's 3.1. 4.1, thank you. Okay, so we did open it out to public comment, and now we have to take a vote to approve the minutes. Nilu Patel votes yes. Vicki Granowitz?
Yes.
And Jovita Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
Okay, the approval of the prior minutes are approved. Thank you. Let's move on. I will be a little bit slower. Okay, agenda item 6.0. That is the discussion and possible action of the NEWAC public member appointee. And as Lori is going to tell us a little bit more about this, but I believe there's only one public member that applied for this position. But EO Melby, please inform everyone about this applicant.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we have Sandra Miller. She was a NEWAC committee member. She has termed out. And so she was our public member, and she worked for ATI. And so as she termed out, we posted and shared out to have that position filled, and we received quite a lot of applicants, probably about over 300, which was the most that we've received for these positions ever. The unfortunate thing is they were all RNs. So the advertisement that went out, even though it was advertising for a public member, it did not, I just got a message here that we need to go to public comment for the advisory meeting report out, Nilu.
Oh my, okay. Let me get this together. I am working through an illness, so no excuses, but let me get my mind together. Yes.
So I will
yes.
pause and we'll go to public comment on the last one. We'll get this together. We will. I'm not sure how, but we'll get this together.
I feel like it's always the follies. This is a new year. Okay, here we go. Board moderator, please open it up to public comment for the previous agenda item 5.0 regarding the advisory committee report out.
Don't feel bad. I was gone for 10 days, and Monday and Tuesday this week were wild. All righty. We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I would like to give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment."
This is on agenda item 5.0, in case anyone's not sure.
Thank you.
Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in BRNHQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Please, I think we're appropriately caught up now.
Thank you.
Okay, I apologize for the interruption, Lori. You were talking about agenda item 6.0 regarding the NEWAC committee member appointee. Please
It is
continue.
completely okay. And I just want to give a shout out to my staff because without them going, hey, no, NEWAC, no, hey, we haven't done this. We didn't take a vote. We didn't do this. We would be in worse
It
off
takes a
than
village.
we are right
Takes a
now.
village.
It definitely takes a village today. I have not had my coffee, and I'm totally going to take that as an out and blame it on that.
Yeah, me
So I apologize and thank you guys for bearing with us. We have 2 more committee meetings after this. I promise you it'll get better as the day goes on. So back to the appointment of our public member. And so Sandra Miller from ATI, she served in this role for 4 years and did an amazing job. And with that, she did term out. So we did do an advertisement out for the public member, but we don't believe that people read the reach out accurately. So we did receive about 300 applications for all of them RNs, either holding a license or currently working. And so they were disqualified immediately. We did, however, have one person that was a public member that successfully screened through and had completed all the requirements. And so when we reviewed that applicant, they did meet the requirements. And he is known to us. He actually is affiliated, I believe, with one of the schools that we do oversee. And so just like with Assessment Technology Institutes, ATI, they're affiliated with our schools as well. So it does provide some public input from that aspect. So Matthew Hubbs is who we brought forward as appointee. And so the recommended motion for you guys would be to a motion to recommend approval of Matthew Hubbs to fill the NEWAC public member vacancy. This will go to full board next month and they can accept your recommendation. And so if that is something that you guys would consider, I would ask for you guys to make that recommendation.
This is Vicky. I'll make the motion to approve the nomination of Matthew Hubbs to fill the NEWAC public member vacancy.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
that. Thank you. We got a second?
I'll second.
Jovita seconds. Oh,
Jovita seconds.
Nilo's fine.
Okay. And so with that, just so you guys know, we will be putting out another announcement for some vacancies. As we did mention, Garrett Chan is terming out on May 31st, and he is an employer representative for Professional Nursing Organization. We also have Janine Grave, who is the workforce representative, which is currently practicing as the RN representative. And then we do have the director of nursing, who is a member of CACN, that is also terming out. And so we will have a currently practicing RN. We might have a program director opening that's a member of CACN as well. And then an employer representative, Professional Nursing Organization. And so those will be going out, and we would welcome applications for the appropriate positions with appropriate qualifications. So please, when you see the notice go out, read to make sure that it is the proper one that you guys are applying for, and whether or not it does require an RN or not, so that we can screen those applications and get some great candidates. So I appreciate that. So we can go out to public comment now. Thank you.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate if they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in BRNHQ. Would you like me to close this? Oh, wait a minute. Somebody snuck in. Hold on real quick. Can you read that, or would you like me to read that?
I can't read that. Can you please read it? Thank you.
Question: is the employer candidate a union? I notice you have unions on NUAC. This is from Jenny.
No, it is not. So we have union specific spots. And so the employer, they just have to employ RNs. That's the only requirement. And then they'll send in that information, see if they meet everything, they'll screen out, and then we'll look at the applicants for that. But we do have union specific spots that are not related to employment or employer specific. So these are just an employer that employs RNs.
She says thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
No other questions or comments? No in-person representation in BRNHQ? Would you like me to close this window?
Please close the window and we'll go ahead and take it up for a vote. Board Member Vicky Granowitz?
Granowitz, yes.
Great. And Board Member Jovita Dominguez?
Dominguez, yes.
And Patel votes yes. So we have a unanimous approval of Mr. Hubbs to the NEWAC public member vacancy. You're now on that committee. Congratulations. And thank you. If you can close this window, please. Moving on to agenda item 7.0. And before I move on, actually, I just wanted to say I'd love to see, and the board loves to see, that there were over 300 applicants for this committee and for all advisory committees. So please keep those applications coming in. Like Lori said, just please make sure you apply for the correct one so we can get you in. Okay, so agenda item 7.0, and this is information and discussion only, overview of the nurse practitioner practice under Business and Professions Code section 2837.104. And it is information only, presented by our executive officer, Melby. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a long time coming, and so we'll just kind of do this brief overview. So AB 890 was the bill that passed. A lot of people are very familiar with that bill, and that allowed for a pathway for nurse practitioners to get to an independent practice. The AB 890 was implemented by our board. We formed the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee, and with that, we developed regulations based from the committee, based on feedback with the public. We held several interested parties meetings and groups, and put forth some regulations for that. In doing that, we also created an application both for what is now commonly referred to as the 103 NP and the 104 NP. And so just an explanation on kind of that pathway and why we're talking about it today is once AB 890 passed, it took a few years to get the 103 application up and running. The main thing that we were waiting on was the Office of Professional Examination Services to complete the study to find out whether or not the national board certification had the competencies for independent practice, and that was determined by OPES that it was, and so that our board did not have to make an additional test. And so that was really what was pending, and they had until they had a couple of years to complete that process. So they completed that process. We did not have to do an additional exam, and we are able to take their national certification exam to show that they do have some competency to be moved to the 103 status. Once you're working as a 103, you do have to work in that role for 3 solid years or 4,600 hours, whatever is less. And that then will allow you to apply to become a 104 NP. And so why is that important? So today, practicing right now, we have 45,540 nurse practitioners in our state. That is a very large number. It is the highest amount of nurse practitioners for our advanced practice RNs. And so that's fantastic. So we're very happy with that. However, there has only been 3,000 or just under 3,000, about 2,700 that have moved from a standardized procedure nurse practitioner to a 103 nurse practitioner. And so I want to very much call attention to that because that creates the pathway to the 104. And so with 45,540 nurse practitioners and only 2,700 that have applied to the BRN and been granted a national the status for the 103 NP, that is something that we need to look at. And so it was looked at. There was another bill, Senate Bill 1451, that was put forward, and that addressed the issue that came up with the OPES evaluation. As part of the OPS evaluation, there was a statement in there that said that they had to do a continued review of those national board exams. And so based on that continued review process, the retired or legacy national certifications no longer have an exam to review. So those were excluded when AB 890 was initially written into regulations and put into place. So with that passing now of SB 1451, the legacy certifications are now opened and ready to allow for the pathway. The issue is we haven't seen a sharp uptick in that. So the applications in 2022-23 that were approved were 843. The 23-24 that were approved were 1,030, and the 24-25 was 846. So not a lot of people that are choosing to go from a standardized procedure nurse practitioner to a 103 nurse practitioner. Obviously, we don't have 25-26 fiscal year numbers yet. That will come at the end of June, and we'll have those. But with that, even with the legacy and retired certifications being opened up, we have not seen an increase in that happening. So with that, knowing that there's only 2,700 103 NPs out there, only those 2,700 are able to move to a 104 position. So you have to work as a 103 for 3 years in order to qualify to move to the 104. And that's why I'm bringing that information forward to have this kind of conversation about it, because I think that that's imperative to kind of understand. The other thing that we are seeing more often than not, not more often than not, that's absolutely the incorrect term that I want to use, is we are receiving some complaints of people saying they're a 103 NP and they're not. And so we are working with CANP to get messaging out, to get FAQs out through them as well as us, and trying to align to get the messaging out with that. that unless you are certified through the Board of Registered Nursing as a 103, you are not a 103. You actually have to apply and do that certification. The other thing that we're addressing is that right now in our regulations, you have to work as a 103 in order to become a 104. And you have to do that for 3 years or the 4,600 hours. Some of the issues that we're hearing from 103 NPs is that they have a certification, but their employer is not allowing them to work as a 103. The difference between a standardized procedure nurse practitioner and working as a 103 are two things. You don't work with standardized procedures, and you're limited to the areas that you can work. And so as a 103, you have to work within these specified group settings with at least one physician and surgeon present in order to not have to use standardized procedures. Many of these nurse practitioners that move to be a 103 are continuing to work in their current employment at a hospital site, and they're continuing to have them work under standardized procedures. So they're not getting the experience that is required for them to move to a 104. And so we do believe that there's going to be an effect on that, and we'll see less 103s moving to a 104 because of the inability for them to work as a 103 with their certification. And so we are hoping that as this becomes more kind of a standard of practice, that we get more 103s out there, that employers will allow for that to occur. Being kind of in the middle here and kind of a neutral agency, or sorry, not a board here, it's really important for us to kind of realize that employers may not be moving to a 103 because there's not a lot of 103s. We have to understand that with 46,000 nurse practitioners and only less than 3,000 of them being a 103, that it still is very new, and not many are that 103 and able to work in that function. So I think getting that kind of figured out and understood might help as we get more 103s out there, get some advocacy out there, and then see that change. One of the things I do want to let our board know about the 104 is that application was opened up. The application does need to be updated. That application, when created, was based on the AB 890 language, and when SB 1451 came through, that application did not get updated accurately. So it is released. We are updating the instructions to address that, and we are working to get that updated and fixed so that the application reflects the current process as well. So hoping to have that done within the first half of this year so that that is cleared up, and we are making that a priority and moving that through. So at this point, this is information only. Again, I did get a reach out from my staff, and it looks like we might have missed another vote. Is that accurate on the appointment of the NEWAC member? We did do the motion in the second. We did public comment. Did we do a vote? I thought we did.
We did a vote. Yeah, it was unanimous.
We did vote. Okay, staff was saying maybe they didn't think we did. So I just wanted to touch bases on that, make sure I think we're good and we move forward. I thought we did. So great. So this one here is information only. I don't need a motion in a second. I don't need a vote, but we do need to go out to public comment and open it up to you guys if you guys have any questions or concerns or comments around the standardized procedure NP moving to the 103 and then ultimately to the 104.
This is Jovita. I just want to say thank you, because when this was started, there was so many questions asked by some of my friends that were nurse practitioners, and I didn't have answers, but this puts it in a nutshell, you know, a while later, but that's good. Now I'm more informed. Thank you.
Thank you. There's been a lot of changes. And so AB 890 is not, is not where we're at today. So with the passing of SB 1451, it did change it. It opened up to all legacy and current national board certifications. It also did not require, like an example would be a pediatric nurse practitioner would have to work with a pediatric physician and work as a pediatric nurse practitioner with a board certification in order to be able to be a 103 in a pediatric setting. That is not what occurred. So after we had set it up that way, SB 1451 removed that. And so as a 103, you are not limited to your national certification of where you work. So you are still competency based, but you can work as a 103 in any setting, as long any group setting that is specified, but it doesn't have to be specialty specific. And so we think that that will allow more people to move from the 103 to the 104. We haven't seen that yet. But the qualifier for the 104 still stands. You can only be an independent nurse practitioner that is in alignment with your national certification, your education, national certification, knowledge, and expertise. And so that does limit that independent practice to that specific specialty for the 104. And so we do think that there will be some confusion around that. When you move from a standardized procedure nurse practitioner to a 103 nurse practitioner, you don't have those limitations, that when you do move to the 104 independent practice, that it is in alignment with your national certification. And so we do know that each year there's bills introduced, and if bills are introduced and passed, that we will be flexible and change as that goes. But as of today, that is requirement still. So reach out if you guys have questions, concerns, comments, and we do have FAQs. Again, we're working on updating more FAQs, and we'll continue to kind of work with CANP to get that information out.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you,
Any other
Avita.
questions from the board members?
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, we'll open it up for public comment.
We'll be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in BRN HQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was just information only. We'll move on to agenda item 8.0 and discussion and possible action for future roles and responsibilities of the Nurse Practice Committee. This is great information. Lori, can you please update us about this? Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the same agenda item as we're putting forward for EIIC later this afternoon. And we're going to kind of talk about this because this is what we do for ELC. So in Education Licensing Committee, we do the work of the committee in the committee. And then when we go to full board, our board essentially can make a motion that says, I make the recommendation, or I make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Education Licensing Committee and then move forward. And so we don't, as the board, we don't have to hear every single item and make an additional call out or a motion. So that is hugely time saving. Not that the work from the Education Licensing Committee is less than. It's actually a very streamlined committee that focuses on those items and reviews all that information and makes amazing recommendations, and we move all of that stuff forward. So the board, when you guys are prepping for your board meeting, can read the materials from the Education License Committee. You're also able to see what the vote was and how each member voted, and so you guys come prepared to make that either accept that recommendation or call something out and say, you know what, I want to hear more on this before I move forward. We are not doing that currently with our legislation committee, our nurse practice committee, or our EIIC committee. And so that's where we wanted to look at that for this year. Right now, our nurse practice committee, what you guys are hearing today, will be exactly the same thing that we put forward in board. It'll just be a copy and a paste. Unless there is an updated, we have a advisory committee meeting that happens between now and the board meeting, and then I would update at that point. We were looking at it from a staff perspective, a board staff perspective, and it would be really beneficial for us to do the work of the committee here and then have it just be an information only recommendations to the board and not have to do a additional presentation at the board unless our board members wanted to call that out. And unless, again, there was any concerns with our board that says, no, we want to do it all over again. And so when this recommendation goes forward, if you guys vote to recommend that the work of the committee happen in the committee and this go as a consent agenda item or an information only item to our board, the board could at that point say, no, I want it to continue, but at least you would have your guys' recommendation. And so my ask from our board staff, from me as well, would be that we do the work of the committee in the committee, that you guys make the recommendations on regulatory issues, any of the APRN issues that come forward for you as well, that you make the recommendation on the member that we just voted in. And then with that, it just goes to our board and they can make a motion that accepts the recommendation. We don't have to do a separate presentation. So if that is something that you can consider, I would love to ask for a motion for that to occur. And that motion would be that we would do the work in the committee, make the recommendation to the board, and the board would go forward as an information only without any updates unless specifically asked by our board members.
Okay, I'll go to make a motion to accept that the future roles and responsibilities of the nurse practice of the various committees be done on the committee level. Is that
Yeah,
cover everything?
or I could even add to that. And so the motion would be that the work of the committee is done in the committee with recommendations to the board, with it going forward as a consent agenda item as information only, unless the board wants to pull out a specific item that we can then discuss at that point. And so at that point, you can just say so moved, and then we'll cover that. So if I can get a second.
Dominguez seconds.
Thank you. So at this point, we can go out to public comment.
I just wanted to open up to discussion real quick before we go to public comment and just mention that, we are aware that there are 5 subcommittees within the nurse practice committee. And those 5 committees, each of them meet only 2 times annually. So it's 10 times. But keeping in mind that, and just a gentle reminder that there are other committees, like Lori had mentioned, for a total of 84 committees that meet annually. That's a lot of agendas, that's a lot of information, that's a lot of work that needs to be done at the committee level so that the board can do, I guess, higher level work essentially. So I appreciate this. I think it'll reduce a lot of redundancy, but having said that, anybody else have any comments before I open up to public comment?
This is Reza, just legal counsel. A quick thing, Lori, this may already be kind of in the plans, but if this motion passes and you said that there's another similar agenda item for the EIIC, I think,
Yes.
I'd suggest a follow-up at a board meeting to indicate what these motions were and get the full board to go ahead and jump on this model.
Correct. Yeah, this is the recommendation to the board. The board will have that same discussion. And then LEDGE, we don't have a LEDGE committee today. And so this will be on the LEDGE board agenda to have this exact conversation as well. We do want to get the buy-in from all board members that they're okay with this moving forward. Yes, but wanted to check with you guys first before it goes to the board. So absolutely.
Thank you for that
So thank you. So we got a motion and a second, and we can go out to public comment.
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in BRNHQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second by Jovita. We will take it out for a vote. Board Member Patel votes yes. Jovita Dominguez
Dominguez, yes.
and Board Member Vicky Granowitz.
Granowitz, yes.
Thank you. That's unanimous yes. This motion passes. Thank you for that. And we'll move on to agenda item 9.0. Again, information and discussion only. Overview of the National Council of State Boards of Nursing. So that's NCSBN, National Nursing Education Database. And EO, please give us that report out. Thank you.
Thank you. So, board moderator, can you elevate Nancy Spector, please, from NCSBN? She is in the attendees. Fantastic. Nancy, we have her PowerPoint if we need to, but she also has said that she's able to share her screen. So I see that she is elevated. Just want to make sure that she is set up and ready to go. And then I'll, as she's getting that set up, the reason that this is actually in our committee here today for nurse practice, even though it is specific to education, is in our education, in our practice is where you guys had voted to join the annual survey that is put on by NCSBN. It looks like she is still here, but I'm not seeing her show up here. And so hopefully she's able to get on. So with that, we did vote as a board to join the annual survey that is put on by NCSBN. I have not had a chance to meet with them and implement that yet. But this is the data bank that comes from that, that as being a member of that. And I really wanted to share out what occurs and what they're going to be doing with the data and how that benefits us as well as the entire nation. So Nancy, I do see you on. I don't see that you are off mute, and I do not see your camera, so I'm not sure what is happening here. Board moderator, do you have any ideas?
No, she was sharing her screen and then she stopped.
Okay. Nancy, are you able to unmute and let us know?
Yeah, there. Now you can see me. And okay, so now I'm going to try to share but I did send it to you. So hopefully.
Did. And so if we do need to share and manage that, we definitely can for you.
Yeah. Because when I click window, nothing comes up. And it's in my window.
Yeah, no worries. I can go ahead and screen share for you. Let me just pull it up on my end and get that ready for you.
Okay.
Are you guys able to see my screen? I will get it in a slideshow view real quick for you guys.
Well, let me
Dominguez, I can see it.
Oh,
You can see it? Okay. Are you able to see it, Nancy?
well, I was just trying at the same time, but I can now. Yes, thank you.
Fantastic.
So, well, thank you, everybody. It's really great to be able to talk to you. And so am I allowed to advance it, or do you have to do that?
I will advance it, yes.
Okay.
Just say next slide, please.
So if
Yep.
you can just put it in video. Yeah, there. So I'm Nancy Spector, and I'm the Director of Nursing Education Policy at NCSBN. And I know that you have joined our annual report program and you know something about it because I did give a presentation on it. But this was developed way back in 2020 after several studies that we had done to develop evidence-based quality indicators. And so we've been collecting data now since 2020, and we can't wait to get your programs into it. As part of this, we are developing dashboards. And when I say dashboards, I mean one that's aggregate and it's all the data, it's national data. And we now have, well, once you join, it'll be, and once you are able to share your school data, we will have 37 states with all the programs. So that is a lot of data. There is no data like that out there in nursing education. So we, started with a report. Okay, let's do an aggregate report and everybody can see what we're finding. But they can, as you know, get a little boring, and I'll show you our report in just a minute. But a dashboard is the ability to display the data visually in one place. It's not as deep as the report, so we still do our written reports, but it's really great to see. So next slide, please. So here's our report. That was our first aggregate report. And you can see it's a lot of verbiage and then tables, and that's it, just tables and verbiage. And we wanted everybody, not just boards of nursing, but also the nursing programs themselves to be able to see what the aggregate data is, as well as the legislators, policymakers, because many times they come by, as you know, I'm sure, and they say, well, it'll be easy to get more students that become nurses because we just need to decrease the credentials of faculty, and then we'll have more faculty, and then we'll have more nurses. Well, you know what that means as regulators. So by showing our data to legislators, and the aggregate report data is available to the public. And it also helps students that maybe want to do some comparison between schools, or between types of programs, et cetera, not schools. And so we started with our aggregate report. And next slide, please. This is our first slide as you get into the overview of it. So people automatically see, now this is data from 2023 because we're just beginning to post 2024, which of course was collected in 2025. And you can see then that there's, almost 300,000 students that this represents, more than 2,000 programs. And at this point, it was 34 states, and it's all the programs of the states. And we collect the data from the both demographics, so you know how many students are enrolled, et cetera, but also those evidence-based, legally defensible, key quality indicators. And so if you look over on the left side, I'm not going to click down everything because I only have a half hour, but you can click down and see how the quality indicators are met. And then at the top where it says degree, geography, ownership, enrollment, you can do some comparisons. So you can compare between the ADN programs and BSN programs, or rural, suburban, urban, or ownership, for-profit, not-for-profit, and I'm going to show you one of those in a bit, and size of the program. So next slide, please. So this slide is about NCLEX pass rates. And as you see, for ownership, I chose public. Now, again, this is available to any consumer out there. They might say, well, what is the difference between the licensure pass rates of a public school, and then we also have private in there, and we have for-profit. So here is the difference between public, and next slide, please, and you'll see then for-profit. Quite a difference, right? So that kind of helps students. And of course, we all know that not all for-profit schools are horrible, but it is something that students need to look at. Next slide, please. So this is data from the faculty overview, and this can be really valuable too, particularly when, the legislators are saying, well, we need to decrease the credentials, et cetera. So this shows us, for example, that whole professionalism thing that's going on out there. We already had a decrease in PhD programs, and now we're worried if that isn't changed to professional for graduate degrees in nursing, that the PhD is going to go down even more. And you can see then it tells you the full-time faculty, 36%. Now, this is all degrees, all geography, all ownership, all enrollment. That, our quality indicator is it should be 35% or more. But I can tell you, having been faculty, I thought, oh, that number is really low. But when we get more consistent data, we'll be able to raise it. I can tell you from looking at some of this data, there are schools that have like 10% full-time faculty. So that is definitely something schools should work on, and they can see it from this dashboard. Next slide, please. So also, and again, this is the aggregate dashboard, but this one I love. This is a student capacity funnel. And when we get to the individual dashboards, I'll show you what the other funnel is we have. But again, we worked really closely with our IT department, and I love their funnels. And I especially love this one because, again, you can show your legislators if they say, well, we just have to increase the capacity and enrollment, really increase that capacity so that we will get more enrollment. Look at this. In all of the types that we get data from, there is more capacity, pretty good capacity, but not enough enrollment. We need, and legislators need, to work on something about faculty and particularly faculty salaries. And I will tell you, the legislators in Washington State did this, and they raised the level of salary, and it was significant. I think it was something like $10,000 of public schools for faculty salaries, and that just meant the private schools had to be competitive and follow. So it can really be helpful, as I said, to the legislators. So next slide, please. So as we were doing this, we heard from a lot of our participants that, we'd like to have this for our own dashboard in our own state, and then we could compare nationally. So now we're working on this. It's not available yet, but we're hoping that we'll be able to launch it sometime in April. And I can tell you, IT is working hard with us on that. So this is the overview of that. And you can see there were 51 programs, and it's one board of nursing with 6,000 students enrolled. And so it gives them a little idea about urban versus rural and, the differences in the degrees and enrollment. And just so that you know, because we are able, where it says details by program there, we are able to go down into individual programs. So this is only available to the state, to the Board of Nursing. When I say state, to the Board of Nursing in the state. It's not available publicly because a lot of the boards don't want this information shared, about the individual programs. Now you will be able to do a PDF of any of these pages. Next slide, please. So the next slide shows us the details of, this one is the details of NCLEX pass rates. And we have the green there because we chose anything 80% or above as being green. And I'm not saying that's because the evidence supports it, but it's because most of the boards have 80% as their pass rate. And then anything below that is white. So, that's a program that you probably need to go in. And of course, I had to blank out the names of the programs from this state. And then next slide, please. And this one shows the clinical hours. And I know particularly you are interested in that in California. So it's very interesting. Now, we chose green as anything above 600 because that's what we found for our national simulation study. We had done a survey, and that was the average hours out there. But that was done in 2010. I can tell you because we are now collecting clinical hours, they have gone way down since 2010. And it is another issue I think we need to talk about in nursing education. Then we yellowed out because it's, getting up there to 600, anything 500 and above, and then anything below 500. But I can tell you there are programs out there that have like 300 hours of clinical experiences. So again, another issue. Next slide, please. And for this one is our student overview, and it gives you just an idea, and this must be that same state with 51 programs, of what their mean NCLEX pass rate is. Now, when we look at on-time graduation rates, and we've been criticized for that by like some of the organizations say, well, you should give them, if it's a baccalaureate program, give them 6 years to graduate. But first of all, that's what the Department of Education looks at. And also, when students go into a program, they think it's going to be 4 years if it's a baccalaureate program, or 2 years if it's a ADN program. They don't expect to have to spend the tuition for 2 more years or whatever. So we do look at graduation rates being on time. And, right here, it looks like it's really good, but there are many programs that just don't reach it. And, then of course, ethnicity and gender. Now, there are some states now, thinking of our political environment out there, that governors have said you cannot collect data on student ethnicity. So we have decided we're still going to collect the data, and in those states, they can just write NA. But it's really important data in terms of, looking at how students do on the NCLEX, et cetera, or in the programs. Next slide, please. Okay. Is that just the next slide? Is there a
Yeah,
next?
it just went from 51 programs surveyed to a state that had 12 programs surveyed.
Oh, okay.
But I can go ahead and switch to this one, which is another
Yeah,
funnel.
because this is the other funnel. And the student graduation funnel maybe doesn't tell us as much as the capacity funnel is, but I thought it would be interesting to look at for one state, because you can see then in all those programs how many students are in them and then that graduate. And what we have found is, that can be a problem. And then that pass the NCLEX. And of course, this state had a pretty good both NCLEX pass rate and graduation rate, so it doesn't look bad. But some of the states that can look really bad. So I think the next slide is my last slide, right? And yes, if you have any questions about this, I think the biggest question I get when I show this, like to our participants, is this isn't going to be available to everybody, is it? Because I just don't want people going down and comparing the details of the programs, and it's not just to the Board of Nursing. And it is accessed at the Board of Nursing, and IT had to work on this, how to access it so that, it's very secure. Through nurses. So you get into nurses and then you access it right there. And we have just done a big quality assurance on it. And so I've accessed a lot of the different ones at this point, and it's looking really great. So does anybody have any questions?
I do want to just add out that in our materials, you can click on the public dashboard and you could filter through anything that's right now that's done at the national level, and that there is a public dashboard. So it doesn't get down state specific.
Right.
Our information is not on there yet, but as
Right.
soon as I can get a meeting with Nancy and get that over to her, we will get that started. But that dashboard is amazing. Thank you, Nancy.
You're
That
so
has
welcome.
so much data, so
Yeah.
much usable data, something that our board can really utilize, and the legislators. I mean, a lot of times, as you said at the very beginning, like there's a lot of comments around legislators saying we just have to add more to the pipeline, and that's not the end all, right?
Right.
There's much more in that, and then just showing the data where you have these enrollment is this, but you're not taking in as much as we've said that you can, like what is happening there. So good information. Great to see it in illustration, and it's fantastic. Thank you. And I saw Vicky's hand went up.
Okay, there's probably a simple answer for this, but why do the other states not participate? Because it seems so fantastic.
Well, there's been a lot of turnover for one thing at boards of nursing. For example, Washington D.C. was almost there, and then there was a huge turnover, and and they went back. So that's one of the reasons. We probably haven't looked into why as much as we should because it's just so busy setting this all up. But I think that actually is an excellent question. And it is probably something we should send around and ask because you're right. I mean, we collect, we send out the survey link and we send out a PDF so that people can collect their data before they put it into Qualtrics. We send it to you, for example, if you're doing it, and then you send it to your programs. But that's about all you do because all of the data comes to our Qualtrics. We analyze it. We verify it. Almost no national research study verifies all the data, but we do because it's a national database and we don't want something going way off. And we had something in Texas that went way off. They had 384 men in their program and 34 women. And so, we knew we had to go back to the program and say, is this right? Oh, no, we made a mistake. So, they do that. So we verify all the data and then we send you, I think, a pretty sophisticated report with matrices and tables and graphs, etc. So why they don't?
Is it just that it's just a lot of work? But what was interesting is it looked like the Northeast, a lot of those states didn't participate.
Right. They are. I don't it's no work for the boards, except if
No?
they want additional questions, then they come up with them. But what some of them too, I think, are a little afraid to give up what they're normally doing now. But now that we have almost 40, I keep saying I want to get to where the compact is. I think more and more are coming in, and we do have New Mexico that's very interested. They'll probably come in as well. So hopefully we'll get everybody.
Well, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Thank
It
you.
is. And Nancy, I think the reason we didn't join sooner is I think we just had a lack of knowledge. I know that it was not something that I was aware of. I knew you guys did an annual survey. We have our own kind of annual survey that we contract out. We thought, is there going to be a conflict? Is this going to be an issue? And then as we learned more and more about it, I was then able to bring it to the board and we voted to join. So I think sometimes it is just maybe not understanding everything about that. So
maybe. So that's right. I should send out something to those that are in it.
Yeah.
You're right.
And make sure we all know, because it'd be great to get us all onboarding at national data.
I know.
Maybe
Yeah.
include some testimonies from states who have joined and how they've used it and how it's been helpful so
Yeah.
that you're actually doing some educational things.
Right. And we have done that before. And one of the boards we have a quote from her. It decreased 80% of my work in doing the annual report. So that really was helpful. But, they have to read it. Right.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That was excellent information. And again, I hope more states join so we can compare, across the board with all the other states. Thank you again for this presentation. Any other questions before we open it out to public comment? Okay, BRN moderator, can you please open out to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Patel, there are no public requests for comments on the WebEx. We have no in-person representation in BRNHQ. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you very much, BRN staff, for keeping us accountable today. I know it was a little rusty at the start, but I appreciate everyone's help with getting this meeting accomplished. If there aren't any other questions, comments, or concerns, I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting I'll give people a couple minutes or a second. Okay, I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 10:11. Thank you everyone for being here. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you guys. And just for the
Thank
public,
you.
you guys can stay on. We will be adding our education licensing committee meeting, and let's go ahead and make a plan to start that at 10:30. So I'll have the members that are in the attendees. We'll get you elevated. We'll mic and video check you, and we will open up ELC, barring any additional issues that arise, and we'll plan to open up at 10:30. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys at 10:30.